The people who control everything know the true identity of Black Americans. Let's go.
Say blacks is Jews.
Blacks are Jews also.
We gotta say we love Jewish people then. We love Jewish people. We got great.
If you are Jew, why do you hate the extension of your own people? There's a growing consciousness amongst people of color in the Americas who likely descend from Israelite origins brought as slaves from Africa. Unfortunately, due to generations of trauma, loss of identity, along with the almost total rejection of this conversation amongst mainstream Jewish spaces, many Black Hebrew Israelites get to the wrong conclusions and lash out at the Jewish people. Many people around the world are on a journey to decolonize their identity, but too many are coming from a very colonized Christian framework using mistranslations of mistranslated texts from the King James Bible and arriving to false conclusions that mainstream Jews stole their identity. To those watching this video that have never heard of this, it is a fact that a large percentage of the Black slaves sold during the Transatlantic slave trade were of Israelite tribes displaced in Africa. Over 20% of the slave trade consisted of Africans capturing ethnic Igbos, which have an ancient tradition that they descend from the tribe of God, in
more than 20%.
in what is today called Nigeria, and selling them to Europeans. It is not white people that went inland to take Black slaves. It was other Black African leaders who took certain groups of people in Africa and sold them to the whites on the coast. I mean, think about it. If there was one group to be chosen for enslavement, it fits the pattern that they were mainly from Israelite tribes in Africa, which historically and till this day are still being persecuted and killed. Our team is actively working on a documentary series called We Were Never Lost, where we are uncovering and documenting these stories to make us living today the last generation not to know who the lost tribes really were all along. Sometimes, even the most destructive rhetoric always contains a grain of truth. Yes, there is validity that many people of color in North and South America and the Caribbeans have Israelite ancestry. And there is an undeniable movement of return consciousness that is getting these descendants to wake up.
Me an analogy. He said, look, imagine you left your home and then someone came and occupied it and then you try to get it back and then they went to the judge. Have you heard some of these analogies? Maybe you can.
Yeah, that's assuming that, you know, that's taking it to a place which I don't usually go. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago. That's a bit of a stretch for me. And even if it was true, I don't think I agree with him. It doesn't justify. You know, I did not live there 3,000 years ago.
Logically, it's more natural to think that there were Black Jews than white Jews. So as people are scattered, it's going to make much more sense, right? Just if you're guessing, right? As the Jewish people begin to be scattered around the world, what's going to be more likely, that you have dominant Black Jews or dominant white Jews? You think more likely to be a lot of Black Jews. So it's so different for so many hearing it, but logically, it's not a surprise.
Sensitive history, well, then I must quote sources that say it, right?
Shout out Dr. Michael Brown, who just spoke. It's a surprise because the world, if it ain't white, it ain't right. But if you're thinking logically, the dominant gene, it's not a surprise. Let's go.
Other than that, I say it. This is a fascinating book, and the web pages are there. You can check it out. Facts are facts. This is a book that was written by a Jewish man. And he confronted the thinking of many of the high-placed individuals of the world. This is interesting stuff. In this book, Benjamin H. Friedman, a Jewish man, writes about the Jews and reveals an interesting history. He states that the present Jews in Palestine are not the true descendants of the Judeans, but rather descendants of the Khazars. In the letter addressed to D. David Goldstein of Boston, Massachusetts, a convert to Catholicism, the author, Benjamin Friedman of New York City, dated October 1954, provides some fascinating insights. This is in the public domain. Let's study this for a while and see where we get. Benjamin H. Friedman claims that the word Jew was only introduced into the English language in the 18th century, and that Jesus referred to himself as a Judean and not as a Jew. Inscribed upon the cross when Jesus was crucified were the Latin words Iesus Nazarenus Rex Iodeorum, which means Jesus of Nazareth, ruler of the Judeans.
I want to go back to something you just said. You said, you know, you acknowledge there are black Jews. There are African-American Jews.
100%.
Some people think saying that they're labeled anti-Semitic. What is the difference between saying, hey, which is a fact there are black Jews, and what y'all consider anti-Semitic in that conversation?
I don't know anyone could, I mean, the fact there are black Jews is just a statement of truth. I don't think that's anti-Semitic. I mean, I think
a statement of truth.
Let's also acknowledge that Judaism is a wide spectrum, right? So you have Orthodox Jews who speak Yiddish, who, you know, eat strict kosher and observe the way they do. And then you have very Reformed Jews who, like me, like I'm conservative Jewish actually. I have a kosher home. I go to synagogue on Saturday mornings. I observe all the holidays, but I don't wear a kippah, for example. And then there are other Jews who say, I would never set foot in a synagogue, but they feel culturally Jewish. They identify as Jewish because it's complicated. It's a religion. It's an ethnicity. It's a culture. It's just not something you can just say is about, you know, like showing up on a Saturday morning. So with all that said, there's a range of practice and observance. So there are plenty of black Jews who go to what you might call traditional Jewish synagogue. Then there are other communities like the Black Hebrew Israelites. Now, there's a range of practice even among Black Hebrew Israelites. You know, there's a large community of them in Israel who identify as Jewish in a traditional way. And then you have the guys in Times Square who observe in a way that's not so traditional, I would say.
They would say y'all aren't Jews. It would say that, what did they say? White people are not the original Jews, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Explanation. Also, I got to ask this question because I think a lot of people will be shocked by your answer. I've watched you talk about this before. You know, a lot of people have this thing where black people can be Jews, and you know, a lot of people, there's an argument about that. But I've watched you talk about the I think you were talking about, please correct me if I'm wrong, the Jews in Ethiopia had the same bloodline origin that you would have, correct?
In Israel, there are many hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Jewish people that are black. I mean, this country is filled with you know, Jewish people that come in all colors. Many rabbis, some of the great rabbis in this country are great men who are black. So here it's not in America. I don't know how big it is, but here it is.
When anybody says black outside of a black and brown person, it's giving something different.
Yeah, and the Ethiopian Jews, the tradition is they come from the tribe of Dan, but regardless, yeah.
But yeah, you said they come from one of the 12 tribes. I just thought that'd be interesting because a lot of people think that Orthodox Jews think that no black person can be a Jew at all or from the tribe of Israel at all by blood.
Oh no, yeah, we have many rabbis, many leaders of communities that are black here in the Holy Land.
And you also have this passage in Song of Songs, which is a highly allegorical representation of the communication between God and the Jewish people. That's how it's understood in the rabbinic tradition. And this passage here, the figure representing the Jewish people says, Shechora ani v'na'ava, which is translated, I am black, but comely, or but beautiful. That vav, v'na'ava, and comely, or but comely, could be translated as an and or a but the context here implies that it is a but, meaning I am different, I am black, but nevertheless I am beautiful. And most importantly, this is a metaphor referring to the entire Jewish people. So it's hard to be any more inside than that, despite the difference in skin color.
That's Dr. Henry Abramson. This is all Jewish royalty and PhD scholars within the Jewish community. He just said, this is a whole allegory for the nation of Israel. They're all black. Let's go.
So that's to summarize what we know from the data about Jewish skin color based on, you know, some common sense, some current ethnographic data, some biblical texts, and what limited archaeological evidence we have.
Africa, you're
is in the house of Israel, at least for the remnant. And today, what is happening is African Americans are turning against Jews. You know what? Because they're turning against their own brother, because that's what we do. But now, look at what's happening prophetically in the world. A real revival is starting to happen among the natural branch in Africa, which is the seed of the house of Israel. This is the root. They are returning to the root. Zimbabwe is experiencing a return to the root. And when Zimbabwe, Botpotsi, when Nigeria, where Kenya, where Madagascar will return to the root, it will affect every black person in the world. You know why? Because they are spiritually connected to Africa, and Africa connected to the 12 tribes of the house of Israel. So if we heal the root, we are going to be healing the entire, which including.
He just said, Rabbi Shapira just said that the African Jews, the black Jews, are the root. That's how it all started. He said we need to heal the root. We need to heal us, restore us. Then the rest of the branches will be healed as well. Let's go, TGC Ministries.
African American community, friend, in the United States. But Satan doesn't want it. So now what does he do? He is turning African Americans against Jewish people without knowing that they are affecting the root that they actually belong to.
Kanye West, he was saying he thought black people are the real Jews, which, like, that didn't even really make that much sense to me. Then I was with some of my black friends and I saw the way they tipped and I was like, okay, all right, that's...
People in India, they're Jews in China, they look like people in China, they're Jews in Africa. So if you break race categories the way I learned as a kid into those three categories, Jews are in all three. So it's, yeah, it doesn't work.
So I want to get Dr. Meyer's opinion on this. Classifying it as white Jew, because we know there's black Jews, you know. How does that make you feel? How does that initially hit you when I say, yeah, you know, if I said black and white Jewish relations?
I guess that's mostly what I deal with is in my courses is those interactions. I think, again, in America, most Jews are Ashkenazic Jews who are white. Sometimes part of the problem between the two communities is that some people will take advantage of that, will use their whiteness as a way of promoting themselves, as a way of integrating themselves into whatever community they want to be in by removing themselves and denigrating themselves from some other community.
Right.
Genesis Varsity talks with our good brother Zion Lex about his doctrinal beliefs, such as, is the 12 tribes chart trash? Is Yahweh and Yahweh Shai the real names? His virgin birth beliefs, his belief in the Talmud, his belief that Esau is the Arabs. Do we wear fringes or tzitzits, or do we wear both? We're going to look at the Hebrew and so much more. The first class is out now on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Deacon Genesis. He'll be here for the month of January. If you want to sign up to the Genesis Varsity, email me, deacon@genesis144.com. That's deacon@genesis144.com. We going crazy. Peace, blessings, and shalom. Production, and then, you know, we're going to get started. Open up the floor.
All right. First and foremost, I want to say shalom to you, Deacon. And I want to say shalom to everyone here at your academy and your platform. I also want to say, giving all praise to the Holy One of Israel.